For 10 years, healer Dmitry Kristev has been developing a sensational multi-purpose herbal potion that is claimed to cure diseases previously thought incurable. This film will meet you with 50 of his patients, all cured. They are but a small fraction of the 12,000 people plus who have received treatment as outpatients at his clinic in Bankia near Sofia, and the over 800 actually hospitalized there. The results of Kristev's method, recorded in files of medical documentation, have been scrutinized by a panel of top Bulgarian experts, including several professors. The Ministry of Public Health recently conducted a poll among 49 practicing physicians on just how efficient the potion and method are. The poll showed Dmitry Kristev's herbal potion to have worked in 83% of all cases of osteoarthrosis, 92% of the cases of rheumatospondylopolyangiitis, 75% of Bacterev's disease, 83% of all gout, 81% of all neuroses, and 93% of all migraine cases. This means thousands of people cured, scores of thousands of man-days of sick leave spared, millions of lives worth of hospital care economized, hundreds of dollars saved on foreign drugs imports. Facts and figures that speak volumes indeed. But let's hear what some of the cured themselves have to say about it. When the cured have their say.
Bogdana Dobreva has multiple sclerosis. Back in 1985, I was diagnosed as having multiple sclerosis. At 25, I could only walk on crutches. I was unable to take care of my children. For months I was practically immobilized, nailed down to my bed. One has got to feel it to be able to believe it. Now I just can't find the words to say. Thank you, Mr. Kristev. Your miraculous method has put me back on my feet. Now I'm as fit and healthy as anyone. For the past 2 years, I haven't had a single complaint. I haven't been to a hospital, not once. Thank you, Uncle Dimitar.
Не съм постъпила в болничното заведение и това ми дава някаква сила и някаква вяра, че наистина вече съм излекувана. Така мога да кажа, че наистина вече съм излекувана.
Like my sister said, it's incredible. Since 2 years ago, she's been back from the dead. We never thought it could happen, but it did. And it's a miracle. Thank you, Mr. Kristev. I would like to thank Mr. Kristev from the depth of my heart, on behalf of my family and children, of my friends and relatives. Now I'm a normal person again. I can feel, walk, and enjoy myself just like any other woman. I'm okay now, thanks to him. Whenever I tried to move, I'd fall flat on the ground. I saw double. There was a doctor from Novozagora. He told me I would never be okay again. Dr. Tsvetanova, who first examined me in hospital, said I shouldn't use that ointment. She said it was no good. She said, I'll give you a rub with it only if Professor Uzunov says so. So he said, okay, give her a rub. But it was Mr. Kristev who applied the ointment. The Minister of Public Health himself was there, watching. And it was just 15 minutes after they gave me the first rub with a thing that I felt so much better. I almost cried with joy. Besides, my blood pressure dropped instantly from 180 by 100 to 140 by 80. They told me that gland wouldn't stop growing in another 2 years. My body was itching all over. I drank gallons of water without quenching my thirst. And when I said to the doctors, especially to Dr. Kitikov, he jumped from his desk, stared at me, and said, Zacharis Instipirus. That much he said and sat back in his chair looking at me. I didn't have the money to buy myself medication, so he gave me some. He said, Girl, you're very, very ill. Start taking those drugs immediately. That was on Monday. On Thursday, I had another appointment with the doctor for a checkup. Before that, I went to see another doctor, a lady friend of mine, named Tsvetana Popivanova, a doctor of sciences at the medical academy. I meant to ask her if those drugs were any good for me. When she saw me, and especially when I told her my body was itching all over, she started crying. She gave me exactly the same diagnosis, Zacharis Instipirus. I didn't know what that meant, so she said, You mustn't worry. We've got something here that most people can only dream about. Then she told me she had recently met Mr. Dmitri Khrustev. She gave me a flask of his medicine and instructed me to rub it over my neck. She said, You must start today. That's what she said. So I went straight home and gave myself a rub with the ointment, very gently, here and there. I was alone, embarrassed and trembling all over. My hands were shaking and I couldn't eat. Then I went to bed and slept all night. For the first time in months, I didn't have to get up and drink glasses and glasses of water. On the next morning, when I woke up, I went straight to the kitchen. I wasn't thirsty at all. The trembling had eased. I could swallow more easily, although the gland was still swollen, perhaps even more than the day before, only this time it was softer and sort of spongy, not hard as a nut.
Could you tell me, since you were cured then, have you used that potion again and for what purpose?
Well, I gave some of it to my mother, who had a very bad toothache. Before we first met Mr. Khrustev, she had had 6 of her teeth pulled out. They said she had granulomas, and there was no cure for that but to have them pulled out. So one night, when her cheeks swelled again, she said, Here we are, another one to go. But I said to her, Listen, Mom, why don't you try that potion? You may get better, or at least you won't get worse. So I gave her a rub on the cheek with the ointment, right on the spot where I could feel a small, hard lump under the skin. On the next day, her cheek was back to normal. The swell and pain were gone. Only the lump was still there. So I applied the ointment twice more. And she's all right now. No swell, no pain. It's been 5 or 6 months since she last thought about it. I guess it's the potion. It just drives the poison out of your body, so to speak. So next Thursday, when I met Dr. Kitikov, he stared at me and asked, Are you taking those drugs? I said, I am. How could I say I never actually bothered to have his prescription made up? I told him that my body was no longer itching and that I drank less water. And he said, That's fine, girl. That's just marvelous. Carry on taking those drugs 4 times a day. He had prescribed me methizole, the highest dosage possible. Then he went on examining me. Tanya has been suffering from migraine for 35 years and arthritis for 8 years. I'm 41 now, and I've been having this headache for 35 years. I guess it's called migraine.
You said you had other complaints as well. What about them?
Yes, my joints hurt, and I have this pain in my neck. Also, I have radiculitis, osteoarthrosis, and arthrosis on my feet.
Would you stand up and walk, please? Let's see how you can walk now and how you'll be walking 20 days later, okay? Can't you stand up without propping yourself on your hands?
It hurts. God, how it hurts.
Well, it does indeed. Now, try to walk about. Okay, come this way now.
Tanya, 20 days later. It's been 20 days since I've been taking your medicine. Thank you ever so much. Look, now I can stand up without pain. I can walk about freely. I can squat or stand on one leg. Before, I couldn't walk at all. I kept falling all over the place. Now the pain is gone. There's just a little pain left here, as if it stretched a little. I gave myself 6 rubs with your ointment, and now I feel like a new human being. Thank you, Mr. Krustiv. I wish you all the best and every success in your work, and may nothing stand in your way.
Много вам здоровья и счастья, и чтобы вам никто не мешал помогать людям. Большое вам спасибо, бай Димитра.
Бай Димитра, тя каза, че е много щастлива.
She is so happy now that she is a healthy person again. Before, while she was ill, I had to carry her around like a baby. I would grab her under her arms and walk her about for an hour to start her walking. Sort of a warm-up, so to say. And this happened every day in our life. At night, whenever she tried to turn over in her sleep, she would wake up with the pain and start crying. She couldn't even turn over in bed, she was so ill.
I thought I would remain a cripple for the rest of my life.
When we first met you, you were so kind that we instantly knew you would commit yourself to her case. Now we can see that your method works, that your potion has helped her a lot. After only 6 sessions, she is almost completely cured. Her waist doesn't hurt at night, she doesn't wake up or cry in her sleep. Very rarely she still has that mild pain when she turns over in bed, but she can stand up alone without help. She can get up and walk just like that. Before she had to pause and rest every few meters. Now we walk together around town for hours indeed.
Yurdanka Zlatinova suffering from arthrosis for 13 years. To put it very briefly, I just couldn't walk.
And you had?
Arthrosis plus exostosis in all my joints.
And can you say you have had any improvement since?
Tremendous. When I first came to see you, my husband was with me, carrying my handbag. To climb up or down the stairs, I had to prop myself against the railing. My left leg was numb, and now I can walk freely about. I can even squat.
Let's see you squat then. Again, come on.
Before, I couldn't even dream of doing all this. To be able to stand upright, I had to lean against the wall. I could only walk on crutches or a walking stick.
So you had to be propped against something all the time, right?
Yes, against a wall or a railing.
And now you can walk freely about?
Now I can climb the stairs right up the middle without having to reach for the railing. Before, I had to place both feet on each step, one foot first, then the other. That's the way I could walk then.
Eleva suffering from multiple sclerosis for 14 years now.
I've been having this multiple sclerosis for 14 years, until at last I made up my mind to come and see you. In July 1988, I had one of my fits. It was so bad, I just couldn't stand it. I was very ill, and I couldn't stand the light. So I draped the house all over with heavy curtains and thick woolen rugs on top of them to make it completely light-proof. I was wearing sunglasses all the time. I never switched on the light. I couldn't read or watch TV. It was horrible. Besides, my body was sweating all over. Then after the second session with the ointment, on the 4th day, I suddenly felt better. I removed the heavy curtains that kept out the light at home, and after the 3rd session, on the 9th day, I could already watch TV without the light from the screen blinding my eyes. Gradually, I returned to normal, entirely owing to your wonderful potion. Without it, I could never have recovered from that fit. It was like hell, so bad, you've got to feel it to believe it can be true.
Dr. Svetlana Popivanova, Doctor of Medical Sciences.
This potion has indeed demonstrated a sensational curative effect. For the past 2,000 years, man has been trying to discover the mythical panacea, the drug that can cure every disease there is. And I think that we already have it, Dmitry Kristev's magic potion. It is only natural that qualified doctors like myself, who have been studying medicine for 6 years at university and applying their skills for another 30 or 40 years, treating patient after patient with the same old drugs time and time again, should be skeptical about an untraditional, revolutionary method. The first and most important thing about the new medicine is that it's universal. It's not made to cure one particular disease. It cures every disease a given patient may have. You apply it just once, and your whole body feels the curative effect. Every complaint, disease or disorder you have is cured all at once. You may use it to treat Berger's disease or smallpox or anything, and at the same time have something else you don't even know about, and the drug will cure that other thing as well. Having used it, a person grows healthier, fitter, and in a better general condition. Why this is so, how the drug works, is yet to be explained in a scientific way. And another thing, the drug can cure chronic disorders. In the medical books, chronic diseases and disorders are listed in a separate chapter, exactly because they are considered incurable. Once you get it, it's for life. And suddenly, we have a drug that cures them. Isn't that something to be proud of? Nothing like this has ever happened before, in Europe, America, or anywhere. In the past, penicillin was discovered by a Bulgarian, but patented in Germany. Now it's a drug known and used all over the world. Here is another drug of worldwide importance, but this time we must make sure it's patented properly, or one day we may have to import it for dollars, the way it happened with penicillin.
We need bold and honest journalists, competent as well as incorrupt, to publicize accurately and objectively the medicine and method invented by Dmitry Kristev. I hereby give the floor to our distinguished guest, the famous healer Mr. Dmitry Kristev. I would like to start by thanking the board of the Neurological Association for organizing this press conference. I believe that it will be a chance for everyone here to see the truth in an unprejudiced way. Discussion at the Medical Academy.
I couldn't see at all. Whenever I got up and out of bed, I had this terrible vertigo.
How long have you had it?
Quite a long time, of which 15 days, practically nailed down to my bed at the medical academy.
And what was your diagnosis? Vestibular disorder plus autoneurological syndrome, right?
That's right. I've been taking that medicine for a year, and honestly, I'm much better now. I can see here Professor Milev, who is familiar with my case. Many of you who 20 years ago were general practitioners are now professors. I don't think I see Professor Uzunov here. Okay. When I first came to see you at the hospital, and whenever I came to see you since, you would always give me the newest drugs. I've been having that disease ever since I got my first horrible headache as a third-year student 20 years ago. 20 years of nightmare. You may say, this is quite impossible. But here I am before your very eyes, and I'm telling you, this kind man has cured me. After 20 years in hell, this here man has cured me. It's a miracle. All I can say now is, thank you, Mr. Christoph. You are really a magician. For 20 years, I didn't have the courage to go out and mix with people, because my next fit could come at any moment. Now, I'm a healthy person again, and for the past year, I haven't had a single moment of headache. My migraine is gone. I haven't had a single day of sick leave. And next summer, I'm going to spend my vacation at the seaside, not in a hospital. For 2 whole months I was unconscious. Then for another 2 days I was completely paralyzed, like a corpse. I'm not saying that the doctors weren't trying to help me, on the contrary, but they all thought I was going to die. I was getting used to the thought of death myself. But I survived, thanks to Mr. Christoph here. Until 3 years ago, an old acquaintance of mine would come every other day and bathe me like a baby. Then suddenly my sister got hold of a bottle of Mr. Christoph's potion. She gave me a rub with it 5 or 6 times, and when we got to the 3rd bottle, I could already bathe on my own. That old friend of mine, she keeps visiting me, but now that I can take care of myself, she no longer has to bathe me, or take care of me, or help me in any other way. I spent 20 days in Mr. Christoph's clinic, and I'm feeling very well since. I can now go to the cinema, mix with people, enjoy myself. Isn't that wonderful?
My name is Georgi Petrov. Until 2 years ago, I spent my life in and out of hospital. Every time I received some kind of treatment, I got better for a month or two. Then I fell ill again. True, they gave me all the newest drugs, but with very little effect, of course. After I had that stroke, they said I should wait for at least 5 years before it could be known whether or not I'd be okay again. I had lost all hope of resuming my old job. Whenever I went out for a walk, I had to pause and take my breath every 200 or 300 meters. And, well, look at me now. Today alone, I have walked over 9 whole kilometers. I can move my body freely and with ease. You can see that for yourselves. I can talk like any normal person. And all this, I repeat, all this thanks to Mr. Christov. Allow me to avail myself of this opportunity and say, thank you, Mr. Christov. I wish you all the best and a big green light for your medicine. Only those who haven't used it know nothing of its magic effect.
Today, the 24th of November, 1989, at 10 a.m., the herbal treatment clinic will be closed. All patients who have received treatment with Mr. Dmitry Kristov's medicine are invited to attend. We want Dikrassin in every drugstore.
I would like to ask everyone present to show maximum tolerance to the speakers, to refrain from interrupting them, so that we could all hear what they have to say. With this, I give the floor to Mr. Christov, who will make an introductory statement for you. Distinguished friends of herbal medicine, I am deeply moved. I am delighted and happy to have you here. All my patients who have spent at least 20 days each in my clinic. The very fact that you have come to pay your respects to this meeting shows that you are satisfied with the treatment you have got. I have a certificate showing that my medicine is completely safe and harmless to the human body. Here is the document. Here it is, signed by Professor Ovcharov following extensive tests on laboratory animals. We want no more drugs from drugstores.
We certainly don't. If we can collect all the money spent on drugs in this country so far, we could rebuild its ruined economy.
See, friends? Now, let's hear some of my patients. Here is Susie. Let's have her say how she felt before she came to this clinic and how she feels now.
I'll never forget that day, May the 25th, 1988. The streets were full of people, like pilgrims,